We'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Nicholas County Parks and Recreation Commission to order. We do have a quorum with Ms. Kaufman attending by phone. The approval of the minutes, if you'll look in your board packet, the minutes should be attached to that.
Mary said it should be right here.
Okay.
She forgot.
Okay.
Move to approve the minutes, waive reading.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes as presented and to waive the reading. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion does carry. Public comment, we do not have anybody from the public, so we'll go to the finance report. In the absence of Treasurer Shamblin, the general account, we do have a balance of $16,263.28. This is before payroll. The full account we have, is that?
$214.
Okay, $214.18. I said there's extra $1,000 there on mine. As you can see here, the pool's not spending any money, but of course you can see here the park spent a little bit. And then you'll note the $12,000 were received and deposited from the county commission on the reimbursement on the unusual expenditures that we went and requested reimbursement on. Are there any questions or motions on the finance report?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, this motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, the motion does carry. Up next, we have our committee reports. Should not have any out. And so we'll go to the manager's report.
I've been in contact with Pepsi so we can get our pop machines back that we used to have, because they were good money makers. To get it back like we used to, where we buy the pop and stock it and keep the money, you don't get a card reader with it. But if they stock it, pay for the pop, make sure it's full, get the money, we get 40% if we sign a 5-year contract. And that's what we did, and they should be here in a couple weeks. So we get 40% of that, and I don't have to fool with it.
Where you putting them at?
Back at the bathrooms. They're gonna take the old ones, because they don't work anymore, and put in new ones with card readers. And if we ever
In
need,
the middle of the baseball field.
yeah, it's also bathrooms,
Yeah.
where they used to be. And if we ever expand or anything, they'll expand with us as we grow. If we want them somewhere else, they'll.
Is that Pepsi?
So just like we had before, a few years back. The Pepsi and then the Gatorade and water and all that. Opening night for Christmas lights, we had anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 people. Santa's line didn't end until about 10 p.m. The train is beautiful. We got from the First Energy grant through the city. So far, we've collected $855.99 in the voting booth, $730 in pictures of Santa. Expenses so far is $2,301.84, but that had some unusual bills in there with it. We paid $1,000 on the shirts that we gave out that night, so that was kind of unusual. Had a lot of trouble with the breakers kicking, mainly along the road coming up from the pool. And Crandall has replaced 2 of the 20 amp breakers with 30 amps so far. And the timers keep going out on us because they're all old, so we're gonna have to start replacing the timers. On the park audit, of the 5 letters we sent out asking for an audit, only 1 answered, and it was that they can't do it. So I emailed 7 more with no answers. So I called the state auditor's office, see what we needed to do, and she advised I call the ones I emailed, and if there was still no one to do it, they would assign a CPA to do it for us. We had 2 submit their bids, and the lowest was from Ferrari and Associates, and their total was, for all 3 years, $9,000, which is $3,000 per year. The other one was like $12,000.
And there was a difference in the
time
to
too.
start.
The Ferrari could start probably in the next couple of weeks, but the other people couldn't start till March. So, everybody knows Nicholas sanitation bill's going up 5.344%. The windscreen on the tennis court was being pulled off the rings by the wind, so we're taking it down and maybe find something different to put it up with, and maybe on the inside, so maybe it wouldn't come loose so bad. And then as Garrett said, we received the $12,000 reimbursement from the county commission on 12/5/22.
The $730 in Santa pictures collected, is that including or still not including what we still have to charge out for?
That's included.
That's included.
Yeah.
We ran out of cash, so we're gonna send out square invoices to everybody that can get their emails, and then we'll send them a picture. The ones that didn't get to pay that night. And how many timers are you saying are old and very not dependable?
Is this,
He's been fighting with like 5 or 6 of them so far. But they're
does
all
this general count include the 12?
old. Yes.
The 2,300 expenses, does that include the $1,000 for the shirts?
Yes.
Okay.
Which has to be offset by some of the photos and the donations, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what's the other $1,301? I guess I'm confused by
Where you at?
that. The $2,300 in expenses, is that for just Christmas light related stuff, or? Second paragraph. after
Be
Christmas light.
$1,301.84.
Right, $1,301 on top of it.
What about it?
What makes up that?
That's the shirts and what we gave Santa, and paying Jessica to come out to take the pictures, plus replacing lights and bulbs and
Okay,
extension cords, because we used to have 2 big buckets, trash barrels of extension cords, which we don't have no more.
yeah, okay. We did have to pay Santa and, the photographer to come out, but their lowest rates they had, so bringing in 1,000 people, I'd say it's worth it, so, okay, but I understand.
Are all the lights down and, like the train down there, is it all working?
It's working, yep. Yeah, it was one of those breaker problems, the breaker and the timer problems.
Is trash pickup here weekly or
Yes,
bi-weekly?
weekly.
Are your dumpsters usually full?
Couple of them are, we're gonna lock 3 of them, so we'll just have 2.
If it's an expense issue, you can switch to bi-weekly and save a lot.
Really?
We have to do that at our gas.
Just in the off season.
Yeah, if you're not getting full dumpsters, I mean, you're paying for it regardless, so if you got like,
Right, well, if they don't dump it, they don't charge us.
Okay, well, we pay flat rate weekly, so.
Oh,
if
that
yours
might
is
be
the same,
different from
or
government.
monthly, I should say.
I'd be surprised. if it
Something to
was.
check into.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
The hours for the lights, that's till 10 PM?
they stay on till about 11.
Cause I come in the other night at 9:50, probably 9:47, somewhere through there. And the train and a bunch of the stuff's already off.
I think some of them said at 10, so you might
Yes,
have
some of
to
them might be
double check
said
that.
Yeah, if we just get a standard time that we're.
Because I thought it was
It's all on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are all up on the timer?
Yes.
And real quick, if anybody, unless anybody has any questions before we move on.
Yes.
If we can get just a quick report on Indian Rocks, if anything going on there.
Not much going on.
Right.
I got a sign made to replace theirs for reservations. It just says reservations and has the Indian Rocks logo that was there before, and then our phone number. I think I put up.
I make a pass through probably at least every 3 days, or sometimes more often than that. And keep an eye on the trash containers, but nothing overflowing or nothing like that, so. Nothing
I
crazy
mean,
going on.
what would be a reasonable rotation for them to come once a week, once every 2 weeks? Just through the winter, for them to check just
The trash can?
trash cans, facilities?
Probably every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I just make it a trip up first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening. There's what, 4, I think, there's only 4.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll try to stay, I got some bags off Sally, and I'll try to stay on it if something happens.
Okay.
And if it looks like it starts to maybe
Change.
more often or something, yeah, I don't anticipate that in the winter time.
Right. April, May, maybe.
And I'll tell you, maybe just one time, one pretty day in January, maybe one at the end of February, maybe just walk the trails real quick and make sure there's no, because I walked them that one night and looked, just with a flashlight. Maybe, and not even, maybe even just once throughout the
Property
winter.
kind of beast and all that.
Absolutely.
We've got
It's a lot of
limited load
yeah, so I don't really
tanks,
anticipate anything.
Water department.
Well, trees down and stuff like that, maybe.
Space.
Yeah, if I see anything like that, or I check put something up, if anybody in the community just walking,
You
sees
gotta walk
it.
that trail.
William Bragg, I think walks it every day, pretty sure he walks it
I
every
think,
day.
yeah, he told me he tried to.
So he'll let us know if there's anything down like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we
And you
just
have
take-
his contacts?
Yeah, you can message me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Park there and walk in, and then from the top, up on top there's a way you can park up there and walk down on the side of the neighborhood.
Are there any other questions on the park report? Yes.
I was just wondering about, I've never been to the, up there at Indian Rock, and I went up and I thought, where all that land at?
Behind the lake?
Backside of the lake.
Yeah,
It's
it's not the widest, it just goes far back. Yeah,
And I was,
squares off.
I swear, you have to walk back through there, don't you?
Yeah, there's a short trail and a long trail right there. Yeah.
Well, I thought there was fields and things back there, I got up there and
No, yeah, that was one thing the commission considered before we were even willing to consider it before we brought it before the Parks Commission, is how much maintenance we were looking at. And it's the lawns around the playground and the pond, and that's it.
well,
And the trails,
Yeah, it's where that if you follow it, there's one trail that goes right around, literally around the lake itself, and then there's one that hooks around the whole back end of the rest of the property, so.
well, I went down there and I thought, well, I can't drive through there.
Not right now, that's right.
Well, I've never been up there.
Understood,
I hadn't been until this year myself.
And, well, I thought, well, I'm going up and look, 'cause
Take a peek.
then I went around the community up there on that other side.
That borders it on the left side, yeah.
I kind of figured that.
Now, there is a flat piece of land that goes with that where the old lodge was, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
there was an old lodge up there that had burnt down, and we had talked about maybe putting a basketball court up there at one point in time, like for the community. But if you go up in the actual housing area and kind of make your way around to the right-hand side, you'll see it. It looks like just an overgrown field with maybe a little bit of brush and stuff in it.
So maybe next time in the spring when you go mow that, make sure you go mow that. So you
Where the
don't,
lodge is,
yeah, so you don't have a
All right, I
thing
didn't know.
right in the middle of the community.
right?
trying to be a good
I
neighbor.
couldn't find the road or what?
Right, that was it.
Okay, that's all I have on that.
Anything else? Is there a motion to approve the manager's report? Motion on the floor, is there a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those against the motion, does carry. Unfinished business. Of course, December 2nd, which would have been, I guess, just last Friday now. We had a wonderful turnout, as Manager Sturber mentioned, at the First Energy Lawn Tower Light Up Holiday Smiles event, which of course was in large part because of the city and their grant writers getting us the grant for the train display through First Energy. Like Sally said, I counted probably 700 to 800, but I was looking at it like this. And I forgot to think, well, I wonder how many kids are with the parents and stuff like that. So I think we at least broke 1,000 for sure. The Postal Service was there and did an excellent thing with the letters to Santa. The Summersville CVB and Summersville Chamber helped with the s'mores stand. The Summersville Fire Department came out and brought some trucks. First Energy brought a pole truck.
That's actually looked pretty cool.
Yeah, lit up and everything. The Nicholas County High School Choir was there. Of course, Santa and Mrs. Claus. The city of Summersville provided hot chocolate and cocoa for the kids and cookies.
Shirts.
And staffed the shirts. Sally and the boys ran literally everywhere. We made it all hold together and it went well. And appreciate the Armory for the use of their stage. I think that's everybody in it. But
City police came out and helped us.
City police helped with traffic. After the event itself, I talked to the mayor and we talked about maybe splitting back apart from the parade. So there's not a rush to get into the park here, of course, with one access. A little bit of a difficulty for folks to get in, so just make sure everybody gets a chance to take part, which of course, we won't have as much of a rush with the ceremony of the lighting itself because we've already got the display. The JROTC, yes. They actually got caught up in the traffic because I did not think, and that was on me, that they would be marching through the parade first. So they actually parked at the high school, sprinted to the park, and got the parking and traffic moving. So we appreciate what they did there.
Horse and wagons.
That's right, thank you, Jennifer. Part of the Nicholas County Equine Association was there and provided 3 horse and buggies, right, Jennifer? 2. Okay, yeah, ended up with 2, and a lot of people, I know a lot of kids kept coming up and asking me, where's the horsies, where's the horsies? So, right over there, buddy. So that was well received as well. And for those that didn't get to pay for their pictures with Santa, if they want to call the office, the office will be calling out to send payment links so everybody can get their pictures with Santa and Mrs. Claus that didn't get to pay in cash. I think that's all I've got. Any other unfinished business? Okay. New business, well, part of this probably is unfinished business, but I'm gonna do it underneath. First off, the new business, if you'll flip back in the middle of your schedule, is a 2023 meeting schedule. I know the county commission, we always approve our meeting schedule at the beginning of the year, so I just wanted to kind of give you a rundown of what would be possibly a good schedule, just make sure anybody has anything that they want to address before we approve this. They're all the 3rd Thursday, except for in June, it's the 4th Thursday. Because I know Gary and myself being on the commission, we won't be available the regular 3rd Thursday. But is there any objection to this schedule, or Joe used to look?
What about the December the 21st one there? I mean,
Yeah, well, that's what this month was scheduled to be. We can always bump it up a week if you like. I mean, I have no real preference to it, to be honest with you. So I mean, we can bump that up.
The 3rd Thursday in July will be in the middle of the fair.
Okay. Thursday's your first night, or one of your nights?
It'll be the 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Second.
Hmm.
It'll be the second night fair.
I mean, by 7 PM, would you and Terry, of course, you're both on the fair board, would you be freed up by them, or does that take you all out of your availability?
We're usually wide open through the whole thing from 4 to closing.
I guess if we can't get a quorum, we can always reschedule. But just 2, we should be able to do it. Or we can move, I mean, again, I would honestly have that preference.
Well, we can change it if we have to.
That's right. Do you want to go ahead and bump up the December 21st, and it'll go back to the 14th?
Might have a little better turnout.
Yeah, I think.
Well, yeah, that'd help getting a little further away from the holidays, so that's, yeah, let's move that to December 14th. So that being said, the schedule presented is January 19, February 16, March 16, April 20, May 18, June 22nd, July 20th, August 17, September 21, October 19, November 16, December 14. Is everybody okay with that? Next thing I have is going to be the phase 2. I think we finally have everything in the general description for the board to approve. What I intended to request of the board is that we review this, take it to the county commission to make sure these are all projects they are willing and interested in funding. And before we put it out to bid, should they not agree with any of the projects or anything like that. A quick rundown, because of course we can all read it later. Pine Lodge needs a lot of work. 2 exterior doors, the front and back. Getting rid of the 2 double doors that are up on the back, and adding a better sidewalk. Need to paint the inside out and roof. New lighting inside and out. The kitchen's kind of basically gone, so we just need to redo it. And the bathrooms and showers should be in better condition. What I'm proposing on the DNR building is to demolish it and scrap it, however, replace it. And the reason it's 24 by 40 is that anything over 25 foot, the construction standards of metal buildings, the price skyrockets because of what they have to put in the trusses. And so I was told by Carolina Carports to try and keep it under 25 feet. So replacing that with 24 by 40 metal buildings that would go behind the garage. We do have enough room back there, and just leave it with a gravel floor. That will be a large cost savings versus concrete. We could always do it later, but that much in concrete, you could be looking at $15,000+ right now. And I think we could do it with that because we have the concrete in the original garage. The schoolhouse, and of course we need to discuss this with the Historical and Genealogical Society. However, as a county facility, we can't let it sit. So we do need to, I believe we need to drop a service meter for electricity. With the DNR being removed, there will be no power close to it. Of course, not really putting any power to it, but just for that area of the park to have a power availability. It needs roof repairs that we saw, exterior fascia and siding repairs, possibly even exterior painted. The front steps are just covered in moss and do not have good handrails, so that needs to be added. The horse ring, the fence is rotten, the light system is shot, and the announcer building needs a roof, doors, window, and a lot of rot repair. The cabin bathrooms and heaters, and of course this is all the 4-H cabins down the road, except for Craigsville, just because it's being completed by Jakeland in their renovations. Every single one of them needs hot water heaters, sink, commode, and shower upgrades as needed. Not necessarily every single one, but a large amount of them will probably need it. The manager's house roof, we got everything done except for the roof. I was hoping we could have 2 to 3 years left on it. And it does have some prominent leaks, so we have it parked right now, so we need to get a roof on that home. The garage and gas shed is the two garages side by side down behind the manager's house. They refer to one as the gas shed. Both tin roofs are leaking and rusted, and we just need to get metal put on top of those. Commissioner Chapman has discussed many times before, and I wanted to go ahead and bring that into the Phase 2 request of a large American flag to the same standard, if not even possibly larger, than what Northside Chevrolet has on the highway, to better honor our veteran groups and the whole reason we have this park. Entrance lighting, whether we need to run new conduit from behind the memorial or just drop a new meter power service on the highway side of the Park Street to allow for the lights that we've already purchased to be put up, and also power for the rest of the year for different signs or anything we might want to put up. Street fence replacement, we have posts coming. A company purchased a stretch of guardrail to reuse the metal guardrail itself. What happened, the state road paved too much on this stretch of road, and the guardrail was only about 4 years old. So the posts are brand new, treated fence posts, just like you'd find for a farm, that are 5 feet, so you can get 2 foot in the ground, still have 3 foot tall. If you look in state parks, you'll see that it's a real uniform look. They take, looks like a railroad ties, but it's a round post. And if you bought those posts new, it would run about $17 to $18 for a 5 foot post, and we can get them for $2.16 a post. And then we just,
From the state?
yeah, they were purchased from the state, and they just wanted the guardrails, so I got the posts off of them, because they didn't know what to do with them. Because you can't really build a fence with them, because they're only 5 foot.
Yeah.
2 in the ground, you're only gonna have 3, but replacing all these rotted posts around, it's a good uniform look. And the posts, once they get to the park, you'll be surprised, they don't even look like they've been in the ground. I don't even know that I believe they're 4 years old. There's one hole for the bolt, but you can turn the post upside down and bury that, and you'd never even know it was used before. We just have to rent the equipment to install it. The Red Barn remodel list, Manager Stover and I have talked because, we finally, for the first time in the park's history, rented out the first level of the Red Barn. The consideration to consider minimal updates to encourage use of this facility, paint the floors, maybe some like wood walls, like rough cut lumber walls or something like that, just to kind of bring a little better look to it and encourage the rent a little bit for non-food related meetings or stuff like that. The sidewalks, you have a major trip happening there at the men's restroom, and the sidewalks are busted up, so just 2 new sidewalks. One at the center of the pavilion itself, and one offset towards the entrance of the first level of the Red Barn. The dirt work of the park, first off is, of course, should the commission agree to replace the DNR building with a 24 by 40 metal, we need to landscape the area where the DNR building currently sits and around that area. So of course, it can be used as open ground or parking or whatever we would want to use it for going forward.
Maybe it made mention about, remember they're looking for a area to house a building for their, was it quilting or something?
Quilting club, that's it, yeah. Let me make a note of that.
So might be able to just pop it right in there.
That's a good idea.
And then maybe give you another place to put drop power right back into.
Right, that saves you a service being dropped on.
Right.
I like that, actually. I forgot about that thing. And then also behind the garage, there's just piles that have just built up over the last 100 years we've had this park of brush and stumps and chunks of wood and whatever that just need to be piled up, used for fill, possibly even for the metal building, or just hauled out. And what that would do would open up basically a service yard for the trucks and trailers and everything we've got here now, to actually have a place to work, kind of tuck it away from the public's view a little bit more and just kind of continue improving the look of the garage. And that's going to be required anyways to put the building in, so it's just kind of like while you're there. Removal of 8 hardwood trees that are around the garage, the manager's house, and where the new metal building would sit, and of course the stumps with those. I think there would be a good opportunity for the the park to consider a very small, but a timber sale, because it is, they are all red oak, the ones that I think need to be removed. And probably would just do good to break even, but at least we wouldn't probably have expense in that. And then also you need to grade out the site pad for the new metal building behind the current garage. And again, leaving that garage floor to save upwards of $15,000. Gravel parking, this is a big thing, I think, especially for the sports. At the Pine Lodge, I mean, there's like 4 spaces, and then that wire fence blocks off any other real parking. And so really, I think we need to go in there and make a large square, even possibly right up to the building. And then we can take the new fence posts and, fence off the grass still. But give adequate parking, because for whatever reason, nothing against the groups, but with the utmost respect to DNR building, I wouldn't rent it right now, but a lot of people do. So we need to make it as accessible and friendly as possible, so when people do, they have a good experience and they don't have to carry the stuff 50 yards to get in the building. The parking from the fair gate to the red box, which is primarily used now for baseball, it just needs a good rip up, resettlement, and a new layer of gravel put on top, just where it's got sinkholes, stuff like that in it. I want to request adding parking from the red box all the way to the pine trees. So you'd have a 15-foot gravel parking area on the right side of the road from the fair gate, which is right there at the bathhouses, all the way to the pine tree. And, that might shuffle soccer just a little bit infield, a few feet, but I mean, people are pretty much parking there anyways.
They are.
And there's a lot of mud holes and stuff that we can back, that we just don't get anywhere with. And that just kind of says, soccer moved in a little bit, and then all your people can park right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both sides of the road aren't really conducive to gravel, but I think that side of it, kind of like what we did below the pole barn. Just kind of inset 15-foot square road. Also need to add gravel in front of the garage and around to the right of the garage and in front of where the new metal building, should it be approved, will be sitting. The gravel will be inside the metal building. And also, part of our BOE contract with the Board of Education is that we continue gravel on the parking lot behind the football stadium to kind of help offset. That's not really been done, and including under myself and this board, we haven't really added gravel to that parking lot probably for 7-8 years.
Or longer.
And so, well, yeah, that's right. I mean, that's what I'm estimating. It probably has been longer, but just in this phase, to request, rip that up, resettle it, a new layer on top, and also extend out possibly another 20 to 30 yards and square it off, and maybe even if we have enough of these posts, fence it off. Not to restrict parking, but just to keep people out of the field,
So people pull up and they'll park right against the fence.
Yes.
And they're pulling up in the grass right there, and it's getting.
Yeah, and really, it needs to be gravel from the fence out.
Yeah. People are
And then
parking
that's just
anyway.
that much less for us to keep in mind.
Yeah.
While we're at it, just have a piece of equipment go in there, level the whole thing, and gravel that out there. The playground, we tried to do this in phase 1, and I could not believe how much mulch is, but I think it's just coming time where we're gonna have to give in.
Yeah.
How much was that last quote? I only got one quote because I heard what it was, and I didn't want to hear it 2 more times to get it through. I think it was, no, I think it was over $5,000 for just mulch before delivery. But we might just have to bite the bullet on it, and we need to paper to prevent the grass growth like we're seeing right now. But we need to do something because, the current mulch is just rotting down.
I bought some, when I was actually mulching, I did it under one of the federal programs, and the federal program, they require you to have non-dye mulch. The red and black.
Yeah.
So I actually went up right up the road here and bought it, and it's really, really cheap.
Where'd you get it? One of the sawmills or something?
They actually take, where they debark, they have a machine that already mulches. They got it running, they sold it to me, it's really cheap.
That playground, you gotta get a certain time on it.
That's the only thing I was just thinking, we just have to check and see if we can do that and stay
Yeah, the only, at that point,
ADA and health department and all that.
per the federal guidelines, the only thing is they require at that point in time is it had to be 4 inches mulch with an underlayment, pinned down, and no dye.
Really?
Yeah.
So that'd be great.
$300 a dump truck load, I think, there.
It'd be fun work, yeah.
That was the FEMA work that was being done.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll explore that more. The basketball courts, the posts are bent the backboards are breaking. Just start over from the ground up. The asphalt's good. I think you need to paint the lines again. But just new posts, new backboards, new rims, and truly, honestly, not homemade posts and not interior backboards. And I think we have a lot less problem. Because those don't look exterior grade and the posts are pipe. But I mean, it's all good. I mean, it's worked for not, as long as I've been alive, they've been there. But I think it's time we do that, because really, that's probably one of the most used facilities of this park. There's people up here playing 2 a.m. And I didn't, okay, yeah, and update lighting. We need to update lighting at the basketball court, because we have the lights, we just never got those up back there.
We just ain't got none of the new ones up there.
All the little ones are on?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we need to switch it.
Are they on timers?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what was screwing up the Christmas lights.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, there you go. I didn't think of that.
I would do
We
that.
didn't either.
Yeah.
They were pulling pins out of it.
Oh my. And then the batting cage building, Erin could not be with us. Of course, she's with Little League. She asked me to add to this request, the batting cage building. I guess the roof is starting to leak, which that building's been there for some time. So a new roof to be installed on it. And they wanted to request, if possible, an added porch of some sort off of the front where the door is, because I guess the players who are not using the batting cage itself will actually step outside. So, I mean, if that would be something the board and the commission could get behind, they said that would be a nice addition to that. That's everything I can think of, unless y'all can think of anything else.
The only other suggestion I have will be on Pine Lodge. Do you remember the floor? How it's cracked and it's kind of unlevel.
Okay.
So it might need to be leveled up.
And how we paying for all this?
Second phase.
Okay,
This is gonna be a phase 2 request of the commission out of ARP funds,
okay.
just like the first. I said we was gonna hold a fundraiser.
So,
Hey, we can
So
do it.
candy bars for everybody's Merry Christmas.
We've done it before. We've done it before.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I don't know that we'll get everything on this, because I don't know where all these bids will come in at. I think, once we get bids, we as a board and the commission might want to get involved and just, kind of prioritize what should be done now versus what might be able to be put off for a couple of years. But after phase 1 and after this proposal here today, outside of any expansions we might discuss later, everything we have is up to date. For now. I mean, it's always going to be a revolving cycle, but that puts everything back to total use of the entire park. I think it represents all the groups the best of what I can come up with, unless we can add any more. And, we have the facilities to really go out and, we've got the facilities now, but we've got even more so the facilities to go out and say, hey, we've got 57 different venues in one park. Come pick one and have your event here.
Red Barn heat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we already approved the bathroom heating, but it would be heating in the
Yes.
first floor.
Because I thought when we had approved the Apple vendors to be in there, that was what we had agreed to use some of the money on. Basically.
Okay.
So it might not be a part of this, but just.
Or even a hanging unit.
Any kind,
Yeah, right.
And then
If
on
we
the
want
horse
that, we
ring,
probably ought to order it now.
right?
When I ordered the 1st of November, the ones for the bathrooms,
Yeah.
now they moved it up to January 28th.
Oh, wow.
Get 'em.
On the horse ring, I know that the 4-H, I guess, has some sort of money because they're working with one of my neighbors with regards to an equine experience for 4-Hers.
Okay,
So maybe there's some money available to help out with that.
okay,
Big Amy, sounds like they're working with Kenny on that.
okay.
And then the schoolhouse, would there be any assistance or grants for it being a historical building? That Lindsay might be able to pull some money and help out with?
We can
something like
definitely
that?
explore it.
Yeah.
Something that's not a government building, I honestly kind of doubt. But I mean, I'll absolutely explore it.
Or the help from them with fundraisers that they might want to do since we're
Right.
trying to.
But like I say, if anything, we gotta get the roof fixed, we gotta get the thing dry and stop it from rotting. Because I mean, actual artifacts in the schoolhouse are being affected by the roof leaks.
And are we able to, did we find out if we can get somebody to come up to one of our meetings and speak on, here's who we are, here's how you contact us, here's what we're gonna do?
I'm still waiting to hear back who the new leadership of the organization is.
All right. I just hate for that to be we pick up the slack and then that building be, you know, all of a sudden, once it's all good to go, people come in and show interest in it again.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, gives her keys.
But I mean, and something to keep in mind too, because I absolutely understand where you're coming from. And one thing just keep in mind too, anything that comes on this park is automatically city property.
Gotcha.
And so, I mean, you know, we do have at least a interest in preservation to a certain degree. Now, anything above bare minimum,
Right.
that would absolutely be on the group. But just, you know, when you have a 3-inch hole in the roof, if they don't want to fix it, I'm going to.
Right.
Even if I have to get up there with a bucket of tar and something to fill it in, we'll figure it out when we get up there. But I'll take Brandon with me.
There you go, we'll get it.
Well, fix Mr. Slice and talk to that.
Years ago, it had a little old propane heater in there.
I didn't see one in there now, did
You know,
I? Yeah, I think so.
the hose is still there, but the tank's gone. I don't know, I guess I can't afford it, but it really needs something in there for winter, but
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
take care of that stuff that's in there.
So do we need a motion on, accepting?
Well, yeah, really what this is everything I mean, I walked around the park 3 times with Gary and Sally and Jennifer and Crandall, and I rode around a couple times myself, and that's everything I can think of that we didn't really get in phase 1, unless you all have anything else. Yeah, I mean, basically all I'm asking for is just the board's consent to go to the commission and say, hey, what do you all consider applicable to go receive bids, and then we take it back to the commission and get as much funded as we can, or the whole thing, or whatever the commission will approve. But I mean, I know Commissioner Chapman understands where we are. Commissioner Roberts is sitting with us, and Commissioner Cole's sitting with us. So, you know, we're all very understanding. It's just, you know, with the commission, that's how we have to just look at what we can and can't do and go from there.
You need a motion or something
Yeah, unless there's any other revisions y'all would like to make to the list. Yeah, like I said, I just like to have the consent of the board before I go before the county commission.
Power's already addressed, right? That'll all be taken care of.
And yes, that's the reason, and I gotta mention another grant here in a minute, but yeah, the reason the electric that was proposed for the benefit of the fair, and then also subsequently be for the soccer and other groups, the food vendors, that was part of the Community Foundation grant we received for $10,000 towards the park.
And we haven't seen any large raises that would take the ability away for that to cover.
That's what I gotta get a revised quote.
All right, so we might just throw a little clause in there that, you know, pending full coverage by the grant that, you know, we did, but if we had.
Well, that's right, yeah, that's
If we had a
right.
little bit of a gap in there, we
Right.
could actually cover with a line.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's
Well, that's probably the highest priority, right?
4,000 some odd dollars
Right.
will be remaining for the trash receptacles.
Yes.
Yes, so it might hurt the trash receptacle project, but we definitely be able to cover the electric.
Right. So I think it's more impressive.
Yeah.
Right. So that being said, unless there's any other questions, is there a motion to approve my taking this before the commission at next week's commission meeting?
Do you have lights on the basketball court? I mean, do they work? I mean.
Yeah, but we're gonna put bigger ones up.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's, yeah,
That was the best I could do.
that's part of the new rims, new posts, new
I'll make
lighting,
that motion.
painting the asphalt.
Yeah, I should say that's what's used a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we do have a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second, any further discussion, questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, or anything else? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those against, the motion does carry. So thank you, I'll take that. And a reminder to the board, and I did not put it in my book, I did. Next, well, the Wednesday after next, December 21st at 9:30 a.m. during the regularly scheduled Nicholas County Commission agenda. At 9:30, I've got a list of things, but the first thing is Director Mullins of the Nicholas County Community Foundation, because the park's owned by the county, they want to present the $10,000 grant to the commission, but I mean, anybody and everybody that can attend, would like to make sure everybody comes out to that grant presentation.
Where at?
At the commission meeting in the courthouse, Susie. And if anybody don't know, you go up the front door of the courthouse to the first office on the right. And then right after that is when I have on my agenda item, the review of this phase 2 financial request that we just went through. to go through the projects and make sure which projects are or are not the will of the commissions for me to go get bids on, and then other county business. But, so, again, 9:30 on the 21st is when we'll cross those. I'm gonna want you to, hold on a second.
No, you didn't.
Oh, hello.
I feel
Now I'm
like
calling her.
can't get rid of that quick.
25-year-old can't work the phone, that's bad.
I was still here.
Okay, I've got Jennifer Kaufman on hold, and I've got Jennifer Kaufman on the phone, so we're double up. Well, yeah, right, I just called both of them. Up next, like I mentioned, I actually forgot to mention a grant the last meeting. Not only did we get the $10,000 for the fair electric and the trash receptacles, through an application provided by Summersville Rotary Club, the pool is going to benefit from another $10,000 grant that will go towards the sweeper, and we sent in an exact model. So we'll have to order, yeah, it wasn't one you sent in, but I'll get all that back from Mary. For a pool sweeper, and also like the real commercial heavy-duty pool furniture. Not necessarily like what you buy at Lowe's or something like that, but actual like commercial grade, long-lasting, blah, 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 pool furniture. So that's a total of $20,000 we've received through the Community Foundation grants this year. The next thing I have is, you know, to my understanding, it's always been a park tradition, if you will, but the consideration of a one-time pay adjustment for the holiday for the staff. What I had thought about and wanted to recommend and see what the board thought was that the field crew workers be a one-time pay adjustment of $400. Pool manager Mary Brown, $300. Manager Sally Stover, $200. And I want to clarify because the commission will probably also contribute more towards manager's salary, but of course Sally around the park if she could be considered. So that would be a total of $1,300, but like I said, the 3 field crew, $400, pool manager, $300, and park manager, $200, but also subsidized by the county commission. $200.
You field manager. Mitch King.
That's right, and well, yeah, well, where he was already, what's his, I mean, employee Mitchell, I don't remember his title right now. He, because of some medical reasons, stuff like that, he had to quit work early this year and also some personal tax reasons. So we are down to just the 2 of Eric and Crandall. And so I take that back, it would only be 2 crew workers versus the 3. Which is seasonal work, so of course, you know, he knew the time was coming, and it was his request that, you know, that we.
These are for what are we talking about this month? Oh, okay.
Well, it's a Christmas bonus, but in government, you're not supposed to call it a bonus anymore. So the state auditor says to call it a one-time pay adjustment.
Has Mitchell received his last check?
Oh, yeah, Mitchell's not worked for the park for 3-4 weeks now. He's been up here volunteering. He's been volunteering a lot, helped with the event on the 2nd.
What's he doing?
Way to do that.
January.
Yeah.
He quit?
He had to, for the rest of the year.
Oh.
I don't know, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But January, he's eligible to come back. So it's just whenever the board, if,
Part-time?
however, well, he can come back full-time, it's just January, we just decide, you know, how we want to handle that situation. And Eric's still here for now. Of course, the board will need to decide if we want to keep both seasonal workers, either seasonal workers, blah, 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 blah.
Well, there's always work to be done in there.
Absolutely,
Still a lot that needs to be done.
absolutely.
I'd like to make a motion, a little tricky here,
Okay.
all right? So in December, that pay adjustment be for everybody but Mitchell? And that
Yes.
we do his in January if he returns.
Should he return? Okay. Because, yeah, I mean, he worked 11 months a year,
Yes, he did.
I mean, you know, so I mean, I have no problems, and I don't see any
use it as a return bonus, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Well, one-time paycheck.
Yeah, return pay adjustment.
Because I mean, that could be July 1st, December 22nd, it don't matter. Okay, that motion's on the floor. Is there any second?
Second.
Okay, and now is there any discussion? I know I said that backwards. That being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? The motion does carry. That's all I have on new business. Is there any other discussions we need to have here today? I know I had a lot, but I think I tried to cover as much as I could.
I'm trying to keep us quiet at this point in the meeting, right?
Yeah, right.
I covered it all.
Right. Don't talk about anything else. Don't talk
Right.
about anything else.
Right.
Once the commission does approve what they approve, what we approve, I would like to make a standing committee for phase 2 projects, just kind of oversight and contractor relations, stuff like that. So if anybody's interested in that, just think about that before the January meeting. We'll see what all gets approved, and then we can figure out who wants to be on that subcommittee. Otherwise, I have nothing else. Okay. Jennifer, do you have anything? I don't want to leave you behind.
No, sir. Thank you, President.
President's comments, I have none. Are there any board comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Hearing none. Adjournment, according to our schedule, the next meeting will be January 19th of 2023. Mr. Roberts has a motion of adjournment. All those in favor? All those against? Majority does carry. I almost voted no, just stay here.